Hey, eighth graders. I know I'm not here today, but we are still going to continue our work with our social issues book clubs. Seems to me like we're really getting into our books, and so I want to make sure that we are continuing to do the best that we can while we are learning about these characters and what's going on in their lives. So, um, during our last session, which was last week, we talked about how characters are clashing based on some imbalances of power. When somebody maybe has more power and they're using that power against others, either way, like they're using power and there's some sort of imbalance. And this, as we talked on Friday, is something that can be the case in real life. This is stuff that actually happens. However, other tensions sometimes just arise because of other reasons. They may have equal power, but sometimes there's just problems in their lives. It's just that's the way people are. So to make you laugh, because I know you all love my memes, because they're all memes, to make you laugh, what I want you to look at is this awesome meme. You guys know it's just funny. They just collide. They just don't get along, right? All right. So nobody gets along all the time. People are going to have clashes. People are going to have arguments. We may have traits that cause us just to have issues. Maybe we spend too much time with somebody and all of a sudden we're like over them, right? So we're all going to have problems. No two people get along all the time. It doesn't work that way. So what we're going to talk about today is how characters are going to clash. And sometimes it's because it's something that's deep and it's just something that's about their character trait. Maybe it's just who they are as a person. They can't really help it, but there's just something in there that causes them to clash with something else. So what we can do, we can analyze these reasons of these traits colliding, and we're going to think deeper about the characters, and we're going to think deeper about their relationship. Okay, so here's what we already know. We're able to identify and we're able to find character traits for characters. And we know that we have to look for the less likableness of characters. There are things that characters, even our favorite characters, have that are just not likable traits. So we have to make sure we pay attention to that. And we have to be willing to adjust our thinking about characters over time. Okay. Now, as we work today, our goal is to work on how two characters might, this trait might not be great with this trait and they have an issue. Okay. So first thing we're going to do is do some Disney, because we all know Disney's fun. We have Moana. Okay. So we have this short clip from Moana. It's on YouTube, but what it is a conversation between Moana and her dad. So what I want you to do while you're watching this, I want you to think, how do you see the traits between Moana and her dad colliding? Okay. Here we go.
In some cases. But I'm sure there's more to Hey Hey than meets the eye.
Just because he's cute. It's not have anything to do with the clip. It's just like, hey. Okay, here we go.
It's the harvest.
Oh, not yet.
This morning, I was husking the coconuts and...
Well, we should clear the diseased trees, and we will start a new grove there.
Thanks, Moana. She's doing great.
This suits you.
Chief, there's something you need to see.
This
Our
is the
traps in
part
the
where
East
they're
Lagoon,
colliding.
they're pulling up less and less fish.
Then we'll rotate the fishing grounds.
There's no fish.
Oh. Then we'll fish the far side of the island.
We tried.
The windward side?
And the leeward side, the shallows, the channel. We've tried the whole lagoon. They're just gone.
Or have you tried using a different bait?
I don't think it's the bait. Seems like it's getting worse.
Of course, I understand you have reason for concern. I will talk to the council. I'm sure we can...
We fish beyond the reef.
No one goes beyond the reef.
I know, but if there are no fish in the lagoon,
Moana,
and there's a whole
we
ocean,
have one rule.
an old rule when there were fish.
A rule that keeps us safe
But Dad,
instead of endangering our people, so you can run right back to the water. Every time I think you're past this, no one goes beyond the reef.
Okay, we're going to pause it there for a second. Let's think. So if we kind of look at their relationship, you see that Moana really wants to be adventurous and she wants to go out and search for something. And her dad's like, no, you can't do that. This is not okay. So it seems like they have opposite traits where Moana thinks something and dad is like, I got to follow the rules, right? They just seem to be colliding because they don't agree, right? And maybe Moana doesn't agree because she's adventurous and she wants to go explore and figure this out and she's a problem solver. And so she's going to go do what she needs to do to solve this problem. And we're watching this, and we're like, well, dad clearly isn't like that. Dad is a rule follower. I'm going to make sure that we stay safe, that we stay here in this area. And so he's like, their traits are not at all the same, which is why he got irritated and why they kind of had that little argument there. Okay. Now, as always, we have to be willing. So say I was keeping that in mind. I'm like, oh, those two characters, they just don't get along. Well, what I'm going to do is I would jot that down so that I could keep track of, here's my theories, but we still have to be willing to change our thinking. So what we're going to do is keep watching. Okay. And what we're going to do is watch and kind of just hear the conversation between Moana and her dad. Okay. Or I'm sorry, it's not dad, it's mom.
Well, it's not like you said it in front of your dad. Standing on a boat.
I didn't say go beyond the reef because I want to be on the ocean.
But you still do. He's hard on you because
Because he doesn't get me.
Because he was you. Drawn to the ocean, down by the shore. He took a canoe, Moana. He crossed the reef and found an unforgiving sea. Waves like mountains. His best friend begged to be on that boat. Your dad couldn't save him. He's hoping he can save you. Sometimes, who we wish we were, what we wish we could do, it's just not meant to be.
Okay, so as we keep watching, we end up finding out that it disproves our initial theory, right? Because clearly dad used to be like Moana. Dad was adventurous. Dad was a risk taker. Dad wasn't listening. He was always going to do his thing and he was going to do what he wanted to do. But then he learned that that wasn't safe. And so he took what he learned and kind of changed himself, right? So him and Moana are actually pretty similar, and that's where the problem is, right? So here's the way that these two, they have the same traits, and that is where people collide. I know sometimes you have, even when you talk about people who are in, relationships, you have two people that are exactly the same, they don't always get along, or you have two people that are completely different and they don't always get along. So there's different pieces of those traits that are going to cause conflict and cause issues, right? So what we're going to do here is we're going to try it with your book. And you're going to look at characters in your book and think, okay, what is causing these characters to clash or collide, right? Why are these characters having struggles? Looking at their traits. Are they similar or are they different? And why are they different? And those are the two things that we already talked about. But there are some other ways that works. So what I want you to do, honestly, is if you wouldn't mind pausing the video to write, you don't have to draw the animals, but draw the arrows, because it's going to help you visualize ways that traits collide, okay? So the first one is that very first part that we thought about Moana and her dad. She was one way, he was the other way, and that's why they were having an issue. The second one is when they're the same and they have that issue, right? This last one, okay, is when you have somebody who is super strong and somebody who's kind of the same, but they follow them. And so that's where there's a little bit of an issue there. And then this last one is when you have those weak people following this one person, and this one person ends up getting really powerful and they try to be this person and then they're not who they're supposed to be. And so that collision there is because there's just not the right the right kind of power or the right kind of attitude. They're not being themselves. They're trying to be somebody else. Okay. So this one's kind of tricky. So if you have somebody weak following somebody strong, they might not do what they're supposed to do. There's going to be an issue there because maybe because they're weaker, they're not going to stand up to the person who's stronger than them. And so that person, that's where that like power imbalance comes into play. And then here it's kind of the same thing. They kind of think that they can be like the lion, but they're not, see the lion, see the mice. They're not able to be that super powerful thing that they think that they can be. They bring their own traits to the table, right? And so if this helps you, that's great. If not, just kind of jot down. You have, again, opposite traits, same traits, weak following strong, or weaker following strong, or like super weak trying to be the strong. So there's different ways that we can look at our traits. Remember, some of our traits are likable, some of them are not. All of these could be in your book. They could all be likable. But everybody has traits, and a lot of times the traits are what cause us to have conflict. Okay, so what you're going to do right now, there's a Google form. Okay, so you're going to look in your book and think, okay, what is causing my characters to collide? Are they colliding because they're opposites? Are they colliding because they're the same? Are they colliding because somebody's trying to follow somebody and this person's gaining too much power? Or are they colliding because they're not really being true to themselves because they're trying to be somebody else, right? So what you're going to do, there's a Google form in your email. It looks like this with a book. And what you're going to do, just follow through and answer the questions. This lets me know that you know what you're talking about while you're reading. You know what traits characters have, and you know what kind of conflicts they have. So you're going to pick tell me what book it is, and then pick 2 books in your social issues text that seeming to have problems with each other, whether it be like in your face problems or just like maybe one character you just know there's a serious, like there's an issue. He may not be telling his friend that he's being irritated by him, but there's an issue and they're colliding, right? Whatever it is, 2 characters in your social issue book. Then explain the problem that these 2 characters have. Okay, what is the issue that these 2 characters? So 2 characters here, problem that they have here. Okay, then what traits do they have? So you can say, character 1 is like this, character 2 is like this. Greasers are like this, socials are like this. However you do it, this is where you're going to put that. And then the last part, looking at that chart that I just showed you, what type of clashing is it? Is it opposite traits? Are they similar traits? Is it an imbalance of power? Or are people trying to not be true to who they are? And then you're going to click submit. Okay. And then the last thing I want you to do with your remaining time is to continue to read. Okay. I'm so glad that you're loving these books, and I want you to continue to do so. So continue to read and take notes over your characters. And as you're taking notes, you can note over any of these things, but I just want you to make sure that you're jotting down some notes. What's really going on in these relationships? Is there anything deeper? Think deeper. We're not going surface level, right? We want to go deeper, right? Not superficial, vocab word. What relationships are positive and helpful, or negative and destructive? So what are good relationships and what are some bad ones? Maybe look at some power imbalances, or look at what we're looking at today. Look at some traits that are causing characters to collide. Okay. As always, feel free to email me if you have any questions. Do your best, work hard, and just look at your characters and think, okay, what is going on with these characters and what can I learn from them? All right. Have a great day.